All right, everybody. This is Samir Azizi for Azizi Podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Mikko Mabanag. I met Mikko, I think a year ago for the first time, if not earlier. But I will talk about it. So, how's it going, Mikko? How are you?
I'm very good, but first of all, we actually met through emails,
Uh-huh.
and we met officially about last year. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing really good. Just really busy right now, which is I'm very thankful for. I'd rather be busy than be a bum, you know.
Yeah, we
Um,
we are. Let me just start with the fact that we met at the Churchill boxing gym in person about a year ago.
mhm.
I remember Ali Ahmedov was there, Triple G was there, and you were the nicest person at the gym. You were very welcoming. You were, I don't know, you were very, like, you made everyone feel very comfortable. And you also gave me some swag. I remember that.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, like that place is very. It's close to my heart. It actually was the place that kicked off my career in boxing.
Yeah, how
Career.
did that happen?
Um, so the funny story. So when I was looking for a job right after I got my postgraduate in UCLA, I was looking for a job and I found a gym called Wildcard Boxing, and they needed a marketing person to help them market the place and rebrand the place. So I was thinking, is this Wildcard Hollywood? And then when I looked up the description, it wasn't Wildcard Hollywood. So on the day of my interview, I canceled my interview. Like
Uh-huh.
literally an hour before my interview, I canceled it. And then Sam Katkovsky, my boss, messaged me and he was like, "Come, come. I think this is gonna be a good fit for you." So I
Uh-huh.
came. I was like about 10 minutes late,
Did you
and
know Sam at that point, or he just like was a random guy who just texted you like, "Hey,
oh,
you
I
gotta
did not
come."
know who Sam was. I was honestly just looking for a job that is in sports marketing.
Hmm.
And I saw the listing, went to the interview, and next thing you know, I started marketing Churchill and then Churchill Boxing's fighters, Churchill Management's fighters,
Uh-huh.
and then I went to Ring City USA, and now I'm doing
Yeah.
Gen Boxing and social clubs.
Yeah. What was the first one you said? With
Ring,
Social Gloves and with
Next Gen Boxing.
Next Gen Boxing. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask more questions about that as well. But anyways, so yeah, and now you have this new position, right? How did that come about? Like you're with Social Gloves and Next Gen Boxing. Is that like part of the same thing, or it's two different entities?
These are two different entities. So we have Next Gen Boxing. What we do is we create a platform. It's more of like a club fight kind of promotions. Well, we're not a promotions. We're a media company. What
Hmm.
we put up fights for up and coming fighters, and we try to mix them like what we're doing with social gloves, so that they can get the audience of these influencers, so that these audiences of the influencers
Uh-huh.
get to know more about boxing by watching the pro fighters fight.
Okay, so the Social Gloves somehow is also like connected. There's some sort of a synergy. So
Mhm.
like right away there is an interrelation. And so what is the Social Gloves?
What was that? Sorry.
What is Social Gloves? Can you talk more about that?
Well, Social Gloves is owned by Austin McBroom. They started their first card when Austin McBroom fought Bryce Hall,
Hmm.
and then after that, they planned this second event. And as you can see on the card, it's more of like more influencers that are just getting into boxing, except Landon, Adam Saleh, um, Austin McBroom, and Anderson Gibb. So yeah, they're basically celebrities slash influencer promotions,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's
But
what they.
decided to slug it out in the ring. I read that it's like TikTokers versus YouTubers. You know, it's like we.
Yeah, that's how they started in the beginning.
So it changed a little bit, huh?
Yeah, that was it in the beginning. That was their first event, and then this one, the next one is more of like the headline is Austin McBroom versus Anderson Gibb, because there's so much like beef between the
Hmm.
two of them. Like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, there's a lot of respect, but they
Uh-huh.
just gotta get in the ring and fight each other. But the best part about this event that's coming up, it's at least on my end, and of course, I think, in my opinion, in the boxing side end, is that we have the undercard, which is next gen boxing,
Yeah.
and like what I had mentioned, Social Gloves also tries to share the spotlight on them so that they can get their audiences, and
And
these
we're talking about professional boxers, right? Not necessarily celebrities, but like actual professional fighters who are just like the prospects and up and comers.
and you guys should look out for Matthias Radcliffe. He's actually a really good fighter.
Hmm.
His next card, yeah, you guys should tune in.
Yeah. So when is the event actually?
The event is on Friday. On Saturday, my bad. It's
Uh
on
huh.
Saturday, September 10th.
Hmm.
It's gonna be at the Bank of California Stadium.
Hmm.
Uh, you can buy your tickets at Ticketmaster, or you can just go to Bank of California.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, Bank of California Stadium.com, or you can go to socialgloves.tv or nextgen.tv, nextgenboxing.tv to buy your tickets.
Hmm.
It's gonna be this Saturday, and I think it's gonna be a great night.
And if I want to watch it on TV, do I just go to one of those sites that you mentioned?
Yes, or you can go to Fight TV.
Uh huh.
So you have three ways of watching it online. You got
Nice.
nextgenboxing.tv, Fight TV, and socialgloves.tv.
Right. And so, as you mentioned, we just started talking, and you said that you're extremely busy. Obviously, you're managing several things at once, right? So there's this promotion situation with Social Gloves, and at the same time, you're helping Next Gen Boxing, the boxers to fight on the undercard. How do you and you do marketing, right? You're just making sure the publicity is there, right? Can you elaborate on like what exactly is like what takes your time so much?
Basically, what's hard? Well, it's not hard, but then what you have to make sure in marketing is that you don't try to sell so much. What you want to make sure is you create a narrative that makes sense and resonates with your niche market, and also something that can expand to the market that you're not touching. And that is
Hmm.
very, very vital in marketing, because like what I said, you're not trying to sell something. You're trying to you want your audience to open a book and read that book. And you want that book, whenever you're asked to write a paragraph in school, you don't want to have misleading sentences or run-on sentences.
Hmm.
So with that being said, your narrative, when you're creating marketing campaigns, has to be concise, has to make sense, and finally it has to resonate. It has to have emotional attachment so that you can actually have grab these people and have them talk about you.
Hmm.
And yeah, that is very vital in marketing. And I think there's so many there's a lot of people who forget about that, because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, what business people think is numbers, the face value. So we want X amount of followers,
Hmm.
X amount of ticket sales, you know, and that makes sense.
Hmm.
But before getting to that goal, I think your laying down your narrative properly is the most
Hmm.
important thing.
So
And
it's
that, yeah, go. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to kind of like dive into the narrative situation. So obviously it's a celebrity boxing, on the main card, and it's influencers. A lot of mainstream media was kind of focused on, for the past several years on Jake Paul and Logan Paul and their sort of run through the boxing world, and it's been relatively controversial within the boxing insiders community. I mean, obviously you understand that, and you heard about it. A lot of people, there's a discourse, right? Whether influencer boxing is good for boxing in general, or is it bad for boxing? I have my own opinion about that, but I was wondering, like, what's your opinion on that? Obviously, you are now involved with with some of those shows for other influencers, but like, how do you guys deal with actually maintaining that balance where you kind of give the respect to the sport?
Well, yeah. I just want to give my opinion first about it. I just want to say that there's always a pro and a con in every single thing that you are getting into. That is part of the environment of what we live in. So just adding to your point, there are people who don't like the influencer boxing, and there are people who like it. So how are we supposed to go about this? Just for everyone's knowledge, for everyone's information. celebrity boxing has been in boxing for the longest time, and we can trace it back to Muhammad Ali. He has fought a lot of celebrities, Mike Tyson as well. And fast forward to today, how are we supposed to put two things together that are sort of like, like two opposite poles? Like what I said, there's always a pro and a con. The con is if it's done badly, the spotlight will always be with influencers because they have the masses' eyes. But if it's done great, which we are trying to do with Next Gen and Social Gloves, you give the spotlight as well. You share that spotlight with these up and comings. Because what is the main problem of boxing today? If you are not a marketable fighter, you cannot fight. Or you will fight, but then you're gonna end up fighting in Mexico.
Right, you're not gonna get the high-profile fights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So share that spotlight to these up and coming so that they can build that audience. Eventually, they can sell tickets. And then that's the main thing. And in my opinion, that's how we should be supposed to be doing it. And if there's any input that I can make, like for instance on the zone, instead of like selling so much pay-per-views for the influencer boxing, why not sell subscriptions? You can get these people subscribe to your channel to the zone.
Yeah.
Have a section for celebrity boxing, because like what I just said too, celebrity influencer boxing, whatever you call it, has been in boxing since a long time ago. So they have like in what do you call this, in the zone, they have the historic fights.
Right.
Celebrity boxing, historic fights. You have Muhammad Ali versus ex-celebrity, Mike Tyson versus ex-celebrity. And then they can go on and on until they see their favorite influencer, Austin McBroom. And why do you want subscriptions? Because they can watch that for what they have paid for. And also, it's conditioning. When they start watching that, what's on top? The latest fight today, the fight next week, the main event in 3 months, Triple G versus Canelo. They will be educated, and they will start to understand what boxing is all about.
Right. So do you think they're going to transition into like the actual professional sport through in that entertainment aspect for it, through like that influencer hype? Right. So the viewer will start like thinking like, oh, I actually want to see how it's really done, how the actual professionals are doing it.
And that's what we're trying to do with this next show. It's the same thing. You put a category which is social gloves, and there's another category which are the pro fighters. So everyone who's going to be watching are going to be watching every single thing.
Why do you think there's such a renaissance right now with influencers, with the celebrities trying to slug it out in the ring? Where did that come from? Like recently, I mean, it started with I guess the Paul brothers, but all of a sudden got this popularity. What are the drivers behind it? Who is watching it? Who is the target audience for that?
Well, the target audience is your Gen X, and most of the followings of these influencers.
Sorry, did you mean the Gen Z, like the young ones?
I mean Gen Z, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Just Gen Xers are like older than me. I'm like
10 million followers, and I'm brought into a fight.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were chopped. Say for instance, I have 10 million followers, and then I asked the zone, hey, can I fight? I've been fighting. I've been training my entire life. Can you put up a show for me? Of course they will say this, because I have 10 million followers. Name a boxer who has at least name 10 boxers that have 5 million followers right now.
Yeah, I cannot say that out loud. Like, exactly. I don't even know.
Plus,
I know that a lot of those followers are fake too. So
yeah, most of them. But this is what I'm talking about, and this is what most promoters want. They want their audiences to watch, and therefore they sell tickets. And that's what boxers need, correct? They have to sell tickets.
Do you feel like, well, let's talk about this card. Can you, because I'll be honest with you, I specifically wanted to make sure that I'm like not informed about the fighters so that I'm with my audience. And I wanted to ask you, like, if I'm this viewer who is a millennial, but wants to kind of get in the card and see, because of the undercard, because of some fighters that I know, but also I don't want to like turn off my TV once the undercard is done, right? What should be like, what's so attractive about the actual main card? Could you talk to me about the fighters that are fighting on the main card?
Well, they have had so much beef for the past few months, probably. And as we all know, Anderson Gibb is best friends with KSI, and Austin McBroom has been called out by KSI multiple times.
So let's start
Uh,
from the beginning. Allison Gibb, is he is a YouTuber, right?
he is a YouTuber. He started YouTubing when he was young, and I think he got big because of FIFA. That's what
Uh-huh.
he. Um, and we have Austin McBroom, who is also a YouTuber, but Austin McBroom does not do the streaming gaming. He does the family blog style kind of
Uh-huh.
YouTube
Yeah.
they call this content.
And both
And
raised to prominence, became super popular, gained millions of followers, and all of a sudden there's beef between them two.
yes,
Over what?
well, it started with the first Social Gloves fight.
Mm.
Uh, I think the calling out started there, and then KSI started calling out Austin McBroom.
Mm-hmm.
And since KSI and Anderson Gibb are both friends, I guess that part has like a solid like what do you call this?
Like a foundation for this beef.
Yeah, and yeah, and then from there, like the beef just kept on going. KSI
Mm-hmm.
kept on calling out Austin McBroom, but apparently, I think Austin McBroom wants to fight Anderson Gibb first, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever wins that fights KSI, and Austin McBroom believes that he will win against
Mm-hmm.
Anderson Gibb, and Anderson Gibb believes that he will win against Austin McBroom. But the thing is, I'm not sure if KSI will fight Anderson
Uh-huh.
Gibb after since they're best friends. So
Yeah.
regardless what happens here, I think there's still gonna be a fight after.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all about just like internet beef because
Right.
both people live in different countries, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's honestly like internet beef, and then the social boxing, influencer boxing started coming up, and then that's how it started.
Yeah, and you've been around boxing for some time. You saw the best of the best training, sparring, and fighting each other. What do you think about influencer preparation? I know, for example, if we'll take Jake Paul, I've heard from a lot of actual insiders that they like surprised to my surprise and from the very beginning. They said that Jake Paul takes his training seriously and more serious than his brother Logan Paul. That's what I've heard, and that he's real for real.
I've heard that it's getting better and better.
Yeah, and so like in the gyms, he's. I mean, the boxers understand that he is not a pro, like and all that. They can see it, but at the same time, they see that he is for real. He has heart, and he tries his best, and he's very disciplined. In terms of like this batch of influencers, so to say, this league of influencers, how are they training? How are they taking their trainings? Are you attending any gyms and seeing how they do? Like, what can you tell us about it?
I actually don't know. To be honest,
Interesting.
I don't know. We are not allowed usually unless we have like VIP permission to be there.
Interesting.
Yes, and
What?
usually I only get to go to the gyms when they're
Mhm.
there. That's when I have to shoot them, interview them, create content, and that's about it.
But if you had to speculate, like, what do you think? Like, do you think they're taking it seriously, or it's all about the money and the hype, and whatever happens, happens?
Hello? Sorry.
Yeah.
What did you say again? You kind of like
Yeah, yeah,
cut
yeah.
off.
But in your opinion, do you think they're taking training seriously? Do you think they're disciplined? Do you think they actually like work out to their best, or are they just kind of slacking so that because the fight is already done and they just want to get their check?
I can't really speak for that because I really don't know what happens behind the scenes. What I
Hmm.
can only base my opinion of is their interviews. And so far from this event, I've seen like they've been training hard,
Hmm.
but I think you should listen to Gibbs' interview against with Ellie, and he would say stuff about like influencers and how they take it seriously. I just don't want to come. I just don't want it to come from my mouth.
Sure.
But he has like an insider scoop of how these influencers treat boxing, and yeah, I think you should listen to that interview and you'd find out. But from my experience and from like being with them during these past few weeks, I think they take it seriously when the fight is coming up. 100%, they do.
Right
Uh,
on.
yeah, but you know, just to respect the real boxers, the only thing that I'm just so iffy about is these influencer boxers get to be pro after becoming an influencer, as opposed to like a boxer becoming pro after being an amateur.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two different things that are, one is immeasurable and the other one is like more quote unquote measurable, because you only need like X amount of followers, train as hard, have connections, and be in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But like real boxers, they have to really
Right.
go through the amateurs, hope to make it to the Olympics, and if not, they go pro.
It's like influencers need to realize their privilege, that it's
Oh,
they're becoming pros on paper, but they didn't go through all the like trial with like sweat and tears.
definitely. That's why, like what I said, like the merge of two has to be done properly.
Mm-hmm. What's the
Merge.
most What's the most difficult part about it? What's the most difficult about being a marketeer for such event? Like, what are you struggling with on the daily basis?
What I struggle with is paying respect to the sport. You know, the content that we release on Social Gloves platform is boxing centric. And if you check out other, not calling them out, but then mostly um, the influencer promotions, like mostly like it's all hype videos or like videos that are funny that's related to boxing. But the way we do it is like what I said, having a narrative that is always respecting the sport. And as an athlete myself, I think that is very vital because you're stepping into my zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to my zone, my house, at least have respect because this is my house, you know?
How do you show that though, like to just like a viewer who is not maybe initiated in the sport, but also like that needs to realize like, hey, this is not a game. You quote unquote this famous phrase, you cannot play boxing.
Mhm.
How do you show that? How do you explain that to the viewer from the marketing point of view?
Well, consistency on your messaging explains everything. You can't have content that talks about boxing and then suddenly content that talks about silly stuff about boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And part of marketing is conditioning the psyche of a person, and that's how you try to teach them and make them engage with your content and make them realize that this is my message. And like what I always reiterate, this is very important in marketing. You're not just selling, you're
Mm-hmm.
actually sending out a message.
And so this event will happen on September 10th. In literally, we're in the fight week right now, which is one of the most. I know it from experience. It's one of the most stressful weeks from the entire camp. I would say for not for the boxers, but just for the team around the boxer and for the promoters and the managers. Especially because you have to navigate so much stuff with media and logistics. But like this fight will happen on September 10th. What's going to be next for Social Gloves and Next Gen Boxing?
For Social Gloves, I do not know yet exactly what's next for them. It really depends on how this event turns up, and it depends on the next steps of Landon McBroom, because I know that he's planning to go pro after this.
Mm-hmm.
I know Blueface is preparing to become pro, but what he wants is to have like a couple more fights, and then it also depends on Austin, because Austin, win or lose, he wants to fight KSI, and if that happens, um, they have to they have to talk about it. So it really depends on like the future plans of these fighters. So I can't say anything about like next gen. I mean, Social Gloves 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure like there's gonna be another show for next gen though. We will keep on having our shows. We have no specific date yet for a next one, but we have plans already. I just can't spill out like more information about it, but we'll have another event after next gen 2. So next gen 3 is going to be sometime in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the plan.
Thank you, Miko. And if I'll go back to professional boxing, I just wanted to ask: are there any boxers right now, either up and comers or actual like superstars right now that you're following and you'd like to give a highlight right now? Who are you watching? Who are you anticipating to see the most in the ring in the nearest future?
I'm in the nearest future. I'm very excited for these two fighters coming out of San Diego, um, Mansoor, Johnny Mansoor, and Julius Balo. They're very very good prospects that you guys have to watch out for. Um, and
What
besides
weight? What weight?
that, not sure
Mm-hmm.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, they're Julius
Yet to
Balo
be.
and Johnny Mansoor are very very good fighters, and
Mhm.
I want you guys to like follow them because they really have like the potential of winning the Olympics
Mm-hmm.
and also becoming world champions.
Mm-hmm.
For pro
Fantastic.
fighters, for pro fighters up and coming that I like the most right now, um, oof, who do I like the most for an up and coming fighter? Um, I like Jalen Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is unknown. He has a lot of following, but he needs
Where
his spotlight soon.
Where is he from?
He is from Los Angeles.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I think you guys should follow him too and watch out because this kid is really, really good, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check him out. I think that will be a conclusion of our interview, Mikko Mabanag. I just want to give you an opportunity to once again give a shout out to the event that will happen on September 10th.
All right. On September 10th, Social Gloves and Next Gen Boxing is going to be having an event at the Banc of California Stadium. The headline is the main event is Austin McBroom versus Anderson Gibb. You guys should watch out for the undercards too, because there will be pro fighters who will be fighting in the undercard. Matthias Radcliffe is a good fighter, and also Jalen Walker, like what I have mentioned, he is also fighting in the undercard. So if you guys love social influencer boxing and also pro boxing, I think this event is perfect for you. It's time for you to understand why boxing is great today.
Awesome. And where can you get the tickets and watch it online?
The tickets, you can get it from Ticketmaster.com and you can watch it on socialgloves.tv, nextgenboxing.tv, or Fight TV.
Mikko Mabanag, thank you so much for being my guest today. It was an honor to have you as a guest. I know we tried to make this podcast for quite some time now, and we finally
Oh,
did it. I appreciate your time.
appreciate you, Samir, and I hope to see you in person again.
Oh yeah, I'll be in LA pretty soon, so I'll hit you up. Maybe we'll meet up.
Yes,
Hopefully.
I
All right, Mika. Take care. Thank you so much.
appreciate it.